Hi, how you doing? I'm Jose David, marriage counselor, and today we're going to be talking about chapter 11 from the book Stop Divorce, Dead in Its Tracks. And the chapter is Blowing Away the Mist of Self-Delusion. A lot of times we tell ourselves stories or we make ourselves believe certain realities about our lives. And that gets in the way of us being happy and our relationship being successful. Everybody has a reason they get a divorce, and usually they have several, but a lot of them are situations or creations in our mind that we try to make ourselves believe. Like, we believe wholeheartedly, so it's easier for ourselves. We make things easier for ourselves. And the most, common one is, I want to be happy. Well, a lot of people think that if they're not married, then they can be happy, but it is a proven fact, statistically, that a lot of the people that end up getting divorces actually are not happy when they're asked a year or years later. And sometimes they regret getting a divorce. And, you've heard this before, sometimes people that get a divorce end up getting back together because of the same thoughts and feelings that they thought they could be happy by themselves or with another person. And they realize that the problem was not always the marriage, the problem was themselves sometimes. So, you have to consider that and, just use that for your own purpose so you can understand better, when you talk to people that have been divorced or when people are using this as an excuse. In our culture, a lot of times we are encouraged to express ourselves, which is good, but a lot of times, and we've seen this in many Hollywood movies, that we should follow our dreams that are a lot of times fueled by our emotions, which can be very productive, but sometimes they're unrealistic. A lot of times we place too much value on our feelings, and a lot of times they're not backed up with realistic expectations. Feelings are, you have feelings about anything and everything in this world. But a lot of times that doesn't mean you have to follow all those feelings or express all those feelings. Some of them might not be healthy. And so emotions need to be under control. And they need to be, according to the situation. So a lot of times if you're feeling something about a certain situation, it's not always the best to express it because it can make you get in trouble. But also it can make you think that you can always rely on emotions. And emotions and feelings are unreliable. They're not good sources of decision-making skills. A lot of people that are guided by their emotions end up making very bad decisions. So you gotta take emotions with a grain of salt and think about what the emotion really is, and is it valid, or is it something that's based on something selfish or self-serving. So do not indulge too much in emotions, and do not base your life decisions on emotions and feelings. That's how we get in trouble. Revenge, that's another emotion that gets us in a lot of trouble, because once things in our head and our heart are painted with revenge, we will do anything and everything to hurt the person that did us wrong. And that is not productive, it's unhealthy, and it usually ends up giving us a path that's full of destruction. And that's not what we want for you. We want you to have a productive and healthy path to follow. So, revenge is something you need to shy away with, even though you feel you've been wrong. And the next is dwelling on the negative, which, can be a combination of exaggeration and blame. As we said in the previous chapter, we always get caught up when we're feeling frustrated and hurt at our situation. We tend to exaggerate and blame everybody else and not take responsibility for our actions. So try not to get stuck in this cycle. And another big one is a lot of times we feel that we have failed to adhere to certain preconceptions of our lives. A lot of times we go into a marriage, a relationship, a job, or life in general with certain expectations about how life should be, how we should be treated. Reality is, life is not fair. We don't always get what we want. But when we get to a point where we realize that what we hope for ourselves has not been accomplished, we tend to take it very personal and we think we have failed. And that sometimes throws us into a crisis in our marriage, in our work, and that gets in the way of us being happy. And a lot of times it gets to be very destructive. Midlife crisis is a very good example of that. A lot of times when people reach a certain age, they do an assessment of their lives and their expectations, and they see that they have not fulfilled them, or that they're not happy with what they have accomplished. And that can be very destructive, because instead of doing something positive, it's doing something destructive. And a lot of times families are destroyed, business, ideas or jobs are finished, careers, because we changed drastically just because of the unrealistic expectations we had on ourselves. It's always good to have high goals, but also be realistic that life doesn't always pan out the way we expect it to be. So don't be disappointed that you don't get what you want, because a lot of times that's what life is. We need to be able to deal with what we have. A lot of times we heard the same stories over and over again about making bad decisions based on other people, other people's opinions, what other people think about our relationships. So don't take or make decisions based on what your friends or family tell you, because a lot of times they do not know what happened between you and your spouse. They're just hearing your side of the story, and being in a relationship only gives you the full perspective of what really happened. So don't take people into account. It's good to have support and backup, but whenever you talk about your relationship, they're always going to be on your side. Let's be realistic. So don't take that for granted, and don't base your decisions on what other people are telling you about your relationship. And the last but not least excuse that people use is, it's not you, it's me. A lot of times this is a cop-out. This is a way for people to justify themselves and wanting to get out of the divorce. It's easy. They take responsibility for everything, and that way they don't hurt you. They don't place any blame on you. The blame is on themselves. But it's also just an excuse of not wanting to put in the work to make things in the relationship be successful. Because being in a relationship, you have to put work in, and that's what Hollywood has not told us. They always tell us that the work is getting into a relationship, and once we're in a relationship, it's happily ever after. And the fact is that it's not. It takes work to be in a successful relationship. Thank you.